Everybody likes to go out to eat, but do we ever think, what's going on behind the scenes? What's happening behind those kitchen doors there? We're going to talk to some people here today that know a little bit about that, and particularly one part of the whole equation in the back house, wine. We're going to learn more about wine and how to build a wine list, how to sell it, how to save it, how to make it part of the experience with the man who I suspect has had a few bottles of wine through the years, Chef Pascal.
Yeah, well, it's not over yet.
It's
more,
not over.
not more I drink, but more I taste wine, more I know about it, you know. And it's interesting enough in our industry, we don't drink just for drinking. We drink.
Sometimes you do.
Really?
Come on, tell the truth.
You know, I am French. We cannot drink without food. We cannot eat without wine.
Yeah,
So
the two
that's
are
the way we
connected.
are.
So who have we brought today, Chef?
We have a Christopher Coons, and Christopher Coons is one of the top wine connoisseur and wine, I will say, instructor in Southern California. And,
Thank you, Chef.
And how many years have you been in the business?
A long time. I'm 117 years old. It's
Yeah.
because of the wine that I'm very well preserved. I started, I think I was a server back in 1994,
Okay.
maybe even before that. I moved to Southern California in 2002 to open the Montage, and have never left Southern California since then.
Wonderful. Well,
The Montage.
You shoot on the
That's
top.
there's
Right
a
there.
name to drop here.
Yeah.
All right. One of the things that he's got to explain to me, he handed me his card beforehand, and he has more groups of letters after his name than I've ever
The whole
seen.
alphabet, yeah.
We have giant professors that come in here. We have politicians. We have researchers. We have all sorts of people who come in here. They pale in comparison. Christopher Coons, DIPC. WSET, CMS advisor, or something.
Advanced, yeah.
CSW, CSS, FWS.
French wine scholar.
Wow. What does any or all of that mean?
I drink for a living. That's what I do.
Yeah. So, the connection with being the kitchen door will be, we're going to talk about the place of a good wine knowledge in the chef mind and restaurant chef owners or restaurant owner to put together the wine list, because when you open a restaurant and you're a chef, you know, if you know your menu on your the flavors of the dishes, the ingredients, you need someone who knows how to do a wine list that pair with that menu.
So, Chef, you now teach. Your owning restaurant days, I guess, are behind you here after 25 or 30 years, but you certainly set a standard here in Orange County as one of the first and finest fine dining establishments. Yes. You're the GOAT. You're the greatest of all time. Having said that, you're now teaching kids at Saddleback Spectacular New, whatever they call it, the Culinary Arts School over at the Old Tustin Marine Base. They built a huge facility there. These kids come. They want to learn how to cook. They want to learn the basics of French cooking and sauces. They want to learn fusion cooking, how to fuse it together. They want to learn how to maybe build a business, and maybe it's not a restaurant. Remember, it's a food truck. Maybe it's catering. Maybe it's something else. Does anybody talk about wine lists?
I did. I had a class last semester about wine and food pairing.
You're doing God's work, Chef. You are.
And you know, because it's so much to learn on the students were very interested. Say, okay, first I have to discover the varietals, which type of wine,
what goes with what,
where they come from, and you know, because now you have old world wine, new world wine, and now it's kind of all mix up everything. You know, we
wines from places I've never heard of before too, South America or you know, New Zealand or something,
Argentina,
South Africa, you know,
Australia, and now you know that you have good Pinot Noir in that part of the world, and you have good Cabernet in the other part, and Merlot, so on. So
you're trying to teach these kids how to maybe match this stuff up here.
Yeah, and teach them how to taste the wine. It's like testing food, you know. It's very important, you know, all the level of acidity, the fruit, and richness or likeness.
I'm going to make lots of comments today and lots of questions because this is a fascinating topic for me. We were talking beforehand. I had a very kind of a high-end sports bar for 10 years we were there. Kelly McHugh's, Mission Viejo, 7,000 square feet. We were about $1 million to $2 million gross business, mostly booze, but some food and some other things. And it was a fun place. It was like the next step up from your local joint. And we had a huge bar there and a huge, we didn't have a big wine list. We had beer and tequilas and all this stuff when that was starting. And so I have seen suddenly, you don't just have 2 or 3 wines. You don't just have a couple of beers. You don't just do it. The world has changed dramatically. And now there's 1 million offerings from around the world. That would seem to be fun, but also harder than ever to figure out what do I carry and what do I do.
It's
Is that
true.
true?
It's very true. I think the amount of selections that a consumer is offered on a daily basis confuses them even more about an already confusing topic that is wine. I talk about this all the time with my server trainings. How many of these younger servers had family dinners with their parents where their parents taught them about wine and food? I did. I
never did.
They don't get that experience. It's not part of the food culture. It's
Especially
an
because it's
add-on.
an Uber culture now here. Just go get it and it's brought to you, and they're not bringing booze with it.
But it's
Part of it.
better that the kids drink with their parents at home than go outside. And
True, but I think more and more, if you look at my daughter and son-in-law, they're in their early 30s. They work. They're, successful people. But do they...
Hardworking, no time.
No time. So it's just...
Wine
order
is not
food.
part of their culinary
Wine
tradition.
is not part of it in
Yeah.
any way, shape, or form. At home, going out to eat, certainly when it comes delivered with Uber or DoorDash or whatever.
so let's go back in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So Christopher, Chris or Christopher?
Either one. If you're
Okay.
mad at me, Christopher.
Christopher.
Chris. How often do you work with a chef or building up menus in restaurants, and how often you involve in also the selection of wine for the wine list?
Or do you just go straight to the owner and say, you should carry this?
Well, it's a funny comment because there's only a handful of chefs in Orange County that actually are actively participating in their menu selections. There's a handful of amazing people that have the wine chops to do so, but a lot of it's fragmented. You have a sommelier or a beverage manager or a bar manager or assistant manager kind of takes care of it. The chef does the chefy stuff. The bar people do the bar things, and they don't really kind of team up, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
I grew up in, the Montage and Mary Lane's at the Phoenician, where there was a good interaction of chefs and the wine people making decisions together. That's not really happening a lot. There are some, like Massimo Notria is doing that. Chef Riley at Lido House is doing that. There's not a ton of people doing that.
But still, there's more and more wine dinners.
There are.
And wineries, I don't want to say a name, but there's some wineries that are known just that they do that all over the place. And
Chef Rob Wilson at Glass Bar does
Yeah.
the same thing. He does a lot of events, very outside the box thinking, very hands-on with his wife, Ednique.
this is where you need to get oysters next time.
Yes, they know exactly what they're
make a
talking
note.
about.
All right.
there, Yeah.
So do those chefs then select wines to match their food, or do they make dinners to match the wine that somebody else has gotten them to carry here, the beverage manager, because it was a good price or it was a good promotion? Or...
I think it's probably 80% menu first, then find the wines to match. But sometimes these experimental chefs are putting like kimchi or some crazy stuff that just does not work with wine.
Yeah.
So what do we do instead? We suggest sake, we suggest beers, we can do some creative cocktails. There's always a way around it, and don't force a wine at a dish that just it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those three things that you said, I see more and more of. I see huge creative cocktail lists everywhere.
Yeah.
Going back to the 20s and the 30s, and old cocktails that haven't been made in a million years, or their own creations. Everybody's got a big cocktail list now. I see more and more sakis on lists. My wife loves sakis.
It's the most healthy alcohol you can put in your body.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
by far.
Sake is wine. So ice
It's
wine.
like a rice
Basically,
wine.
yeah.
Yeah, right. And so I see that's what I never saw 10, 20 years ago. I see more and more sakes available.
The choices for the average consumer is unbelievable. And again, wine is complicated. It's like a BevMo every time you walk and look at
Yeah.
a list. Where do you start? Do you ask a server? Server may or may not know what's going on or be able to tell
Never knows.
what's going on. And then you have a fantastic alcohol spirits programs, the tattooed, up to the neck. It's almost like you have to have a tattoo on your resume to get a great bar job these days. But amazing
That is true.
cocktails.
Why is that?
I
They're all,
don't-
they're
I
all
don't know.
looking like they're, yeah. See, he brought in a couple.
Do you have a
these-
bottle tattoo on your
I
arm?
do not. I do not.
Just a glass. So
So can we break it down into some problems here?
Yeah.
All right. Problem number one
Mm-hmm.
is you're saying the chefs. I don't think enough of the chefs are really that involved in the beverage part of it. That somebody else handles that.
A lot of the chefs in California across the board basically are meant to take care of the kitchen and the food cost of the kitchen, assist with events, things like that. Like they have their own little silo they stayed in, and that silo doesn't spill over into the front of the house.
Particularly if you're getting into big, more corporate-owned entities.
Yes.
And it's hard to have an independent operator anymore because of costs. And
But don't
costs.
you think a restaurant or operator should focus more on that?
Yes.
So you have a wine list that will give better experience to the guests to match the food and to pair the food.
100%.
Especially now that the food is becoming more fusions, and so it's harder to pick the wine when you have fusion cuisine.
Absolutely.
So
So I tell restaurateurs and I tell managers and any kind of buyer who has decision making, authority. The beverage part of the program is the most profitable part of the program.
Clearly.
It should never be an
Clearly.
afterthought. The $1.2 million that you did in your
Yeah.
establishment, how much of that was directly related to
80%.
alcohol, at least?
Yeah.
So if you do it as an afterthought, it's the majority of the money-making operation of your building, of your
And
restaurant.
I didn't know that going in. I didn't anticipate that. We needed food, and food was there, but the amount of money we made off when we had a good alcohol program, meaning we had a diversity, it was fun, you tried stuff, it wasn't just the cheapest and the regular stuff that you got everywhere else here. That was so profitable, and that's what set us apart, why people came back.
Wine and alcohol should never be an add-on. It should be part of the program. And if that's where the money's being made, it can't be an afterthought.
I don't want to put age on you, but in your days,
It was the old days when I did it, yeah.
house wine was one of the cheapest wine in the house.
Clearly.
It's
And you had to
crazy.
have it. You had to have a Gallo or something
Yeah,
there. Or
and you knew, this-
Kendall Jackson was the big breakthrough in the 80s and 90s because it was somewhat okay.
You know you're going to be drink a mouthwash. No?
I'm going to get everybody mad at me, but Kendall Jackson, I don't know where it's at today, but this is like the 80s into the 90s. That was a wine that wasn't bad, wasn't expensive. People kind of knew it, and so we'd have that, and that was kind of a go-to. We'd have that and a couple other kind of regular wines and maybe something crazy. And then we're always wondering, why are we doing it? Because it doesn't sell. We like it, but it doesn't sell.
But why didn't it sell?
So let's go to problems 2 and 3.
Because I'm a problem solver. So give me a problem.
Well,
and I'll
we
try to
talked
find a
about this
solution.
beforehand, so I'll tell the story on air again. We were primarily beer in those days, sports bar, so 50 beers on draft, 50 other beers, Hall of Foam. If you tried them all, you won a little plaque on the wall, and people went crazy. So we were, as we periodically had staff training, I had all these young, mostly girls in there. It's a sports bar. They're cute, they're perky, they're nice, whatever, but they don't know anything about the product. So I'm making them try product. And this one girl who's our #1 seller is ignoring everything. I said, what's the problem? She said, I hate beer. You work in a place that's primarily sells beer, and you now tell me this 2-3 years later you hate beer? Well, yeah, there's nothing I like. Then you're going to find something right now. We're not
Today.
leaving today.
Yeah.
You like coffee? Here's some coffee for you. You like fruity things? She found this Framboise Lambic, this fizzy bottled, top fermented thing. It has a cork. It tastes
From
like
Belgium,
champagne.
yeah.
From Belgium. And
It didn't taste like beer. That's
it
why she
tastes
loved
like
it.
beer. She went crazy. She said, this is beer? She started selling the hell out of it. And this was imported through Southern Wines and Spirits, the giant purveyor at the time. And I don't know who he was, but he's the president of the West Coast, or some huge guy comes to our little bar, and because you pegged it, he wanted to know how you sell this thing. We sold more than anybody did in Southern California by far. And I said, it's just because I made her try it and she likes it. And she pushes it on everybody that comes in. You don't want that. You got to have to come. You got to try this. And then when they did, it was something so unique and special, they had to come back and get it again or tell their friends about it.
But this go back to where the trend changed.
Okay.
The food trend changed and the drink trend changed. Now you have breweries to flavor their beer more and more different ways.
Clearly.
And
Sour ales, other
and,
things.
and suddenly the wines as well are not modified, but the wine making changed because the winemakers start to learn how to they can smoke a barrel, they can use fresh oak barrel.
I'll go back to an earlier problem, though, and I think you want me to list problems today? The problem is, one, the staff knows nothing about the product.
True.
They're not used to
Yeah.
drinking it. They don't drink it at home or whatever, so how can they recommend
The
it or
best
talk
thing
about
that
it?
you did with that server that started selling the Creek, the framboise,
Right.
is you basically sold her.
Yeah.
You got into her heart and mind, and now she loves it. And you actually have a server that has an opinion,
Yes.
who has passion for it, and you cannot substitute.
Who
that.
doesn't just say, well, we sell a lot of this or this
The
is
worst thing
popular.
that any server can say is, "Oh, it's popular. Oh, it scored well at the Wine Spectator." That's a BS answer if a guest wants to know about something.
So I see all the time that's part of the problem. Then on top of it, the choices have exploded. I go to any nice restaurant and I look at their wine list. There isn't one wine I recognize. Not one I've ever heard of before. So that's intimidating. I don't know where to pick or where to start. So I ask them, well, I like this. I like lighter. I like fruitier. I like something more acidic.
But you have the guts and the confidence to actually ask those questions.
true?
Most consumers don't even have the confidence to ask.
Bingo.
I don't want to look like an idiot in front of my wife or my girlfriend or
My
a
buddies
date
or-
or my buddies. Why do I have to ask a question to get something that I feel confident?
But you can ask someone that knows, if there is someone that knows in a restaurant, and get advice. And
Do any of them
say-
even have sommelier? You used to go to
Some
really-
do. A lot actually do.
They call over and they say, okay, and then they have that conversation.
But quite frankly, the server should be, if you're having a wine list of consequence, you should have someone teaching them on a daily basis during pre-shift
Amen.
about something.
So
And if they don't, they should bring
So
someone like
that's
me in.
more the point. When you do pre-shift, the chef is going to come up with a special. Okay,
Right.
tonight we're going to do so
Trout almondine
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Nobody does that dish
grilled
anymore.
fish, a grilled saltfish, and depend on what the sauce is going to be as a seasoning. Someone should work with the chef and do actual wine tasting and say, okay, we suggest that wine to go with that
9 out
special.
of 10 restaurants I go to today, I ask the server, recommend a wine. First, I recommend a dish. Tell me about the dishes, and they struggle with that a little bit. And then I said, recommend a wine. Blank. Here's what people like. Here's what it is. So they have no opinion on the subject matter, and I have no where to go because I never heard of any of these wines. I'm not going to my handful of favorite ones.
Let me tell you the solution for that is you have a buyer or consultant who gets really geeky and puts all this weird shit on the list
Right.
because their signature is, but there's nothing to back up the server training to actually activate those products. What you're doing is actually the opposite. You're making it so disconnected and intimidating to your clientele. You're completely ignoring the servers who is your sales force.
Right.
Why would you do that? So a consultant that doesn't back it up with education is a waste of money. I would have a concise list selected by the season for the menu and back it up with consistent server training, which the distributors and the suppliers should be able to help you with if you don't have someone in-house.
And this is the trouble with trends.
Trends, right?
If the trend is to have a crab cake on every menu,
Right.
the trend is going to have the most common Sauvignon Blanc on the menu as well.
Right.
So but nobody knows if that crab cake is served with that type of sauce or not.
So I identified 2 problems. One, the servers don't know, so they can't recommend. And 2, the wines lists have gotten so obscure because there's so many billions of choices out there that the consumer doesn't know. So nobody knows. I don't know. They don't know, so I don't buy it. Right?
So the server trainings, these pre-chefs, one, they don't happen because no one can afford it anymore,
Right.
or they're staggered because you have someone at 4 o'clock to set the room, you have someone at 5
Right.
o'clock, you have more at 5:30, and then you have your full staff in there by 6 or 6:30. That's when the rush comes. So when you have a pre-shift, if you're staggering your staff, what we suggest is let us do a little training video for you, a 3-minute smells like, tastes like, goes with a couple blurbs about how cool and authentic, historical this property is, and why it goes with whatever dish, is fantastic. And then they can email it to their entire staff. So as they come in staggered, they get that off their phone.
Great
the kids
idea.
are
So
the kids are
everybody learns.
consuming off their phone anyway.
Right.
Let's teach them. Let's train them with the phone, and then all of your staff training is digitized by on all your wines. So
Yeah.
if someome's hired later, you're good to go.
Yeah,
give you
but
another trend I
They
hate.
are not only the servers that cares will open up the emails, but it is not, because now more and more the top restaurants have seasonal menu.
Mm-hmm.
So
They
seasonal
should.
menu, that mean it is when they do presentation of the new dishes, this is the time they should present also the wine list. Do you update the wine list with the new menu?
The wine list should be updated because it's not an add-on, it's part of the menu. So with the main food menu changes, the beverage list / wine list should change with it. It's not
Agree.
an add-on, it's part of it. It's like the extra sauces.
And that's the experience
Right.
for the guests.
Let me give you one other little. This has not been a big trend, but it's a minor trend I've seen, and it's another one of my annoyances. More and more, maybe not super fine dining, maybe more the kind of chain sports bar kind of stuff or whatever. They don't want you to order from anybody. You have an app, and you simply go on the app and you place your order with your phone, or it's called. I'm like, but I can't ask any questions on the app. How does this taste? What does this goes with this? There's no question. More and more, they want the server to be a robot just to bring it out.
They carry plates and
Carry plates.
the thing is also that when I was very adamant about that, when I saw wine by the glass in my restaurant,
Yeah.
I serve it straight from the bottle at the table.
Oh, I never saw
No,
anybody do
not
that.
in the back.
It's sexier that way.
Never saw
It's
anybody do
supposed
that.
to be. You show the bottle and say, this is the wine first. You make sure you bring the wine that the guests order, and then they can see it and taste it, and then it goes.
All right, so I'll give you another little thing that drives me crazy, or I've noticed. So go to any restaurant, go to the Pendry Hotel, or go to these other places. You're going to see a handful of wines by the glass, and you can see tons of wines by the bottle. Too many, a million. I don't know what any of them taste like here. So how can I pick that wine by the bottle? Never heard it, never seen it. You can't describe it to me. Now you want me to buy? It's gone up. It's
Well,
100
hopefully at
bucks
the
a bottle.
Pendry they can describe it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We only say it because he had the executive
I
chef
have
in
to
here.
say,
Yeah.
over the years, the wine lists have been shrinking because they were, like pages and pages
Right.
before, and it's for practical return and business return. You don't want the guests to take 20 minutes before you decide
Oh,
to pick
that's
your
true
wine.
too. Yeah.
So that's why you have to guide them. And it's very important.
So here's the point I was getting at. In this world where they still want you to buy a bottle, I can't tell you the last time in the last 5 years that anybody even suggested
That's
I buy
a mess
bottle.
from the training, because when I talk to a server team, I suggest all the time that if a couple comes in and they each get a glass, you should remind them that if they're just thinking about getting one more glass, that third glass basically pays for the bottle,
Right.
which is actually 4 glasses.
Right.
So buying a bottle, if it's marked up correctly, should be literally giving you the last glass for free. So it's value. It's obscene value.
At once upon a time, that was part of the experience, and then they would recommend you say, "I'll try a bottle of that," and then now it's like, I'll take. Can I taste? Give me 3 or 4 tastings. I'll pick that one, and then never once did they say, "Would you like a bottle of this or something?" They always just pour 2 glasses, and that's it.
Because they're just taking orders. They're not
Yeah.
trained.
Just taking over.
But good restaurant owners should go that direction, But they also it's tricky because most of the wine by the glass, the first glass paid for the bottle for the
So
wholesale
they don't
price.
care. And then let's talk a little bit about this. I know things have changed since my day. I'm talking 30, 40 years ago in the 80s, when wine was still a hot item in California and everybody wanted wine, and that was part of, especially in a nice restaurant. But they didn't know how to take care of the wine after they'd opened it. And so you were having bad experiences where you
Yeah.
come back and this isn't it.
We have new technology.
We have several new technologies. I dislike the vacuum sealing devices. 'Cause
That's what I had seen.
You
yeah.
can never actually make a
And
vacuum.
you pump out the aroma anyway.
Also,
That's
I mean,
true.
it's so much cheaper and easier to use the argon spray, the private preserve.
Yeah.
It's a heavier inert gas that you just spray into the bottle. It sits over it like liquefied or like aerosol oil. You basically stop any oxygen from touching it, and you're good. Or for higher end stuff, I recommend the new device called Coravin, which has been out for probably a decade.
So,
They can do sparkling. They can do white,
man.
red. You can even put a capsule around a screw cap, a Stelvin closure, and preserve it. Stelvin is probably the best technology in the business for wine preservation. And back to your point, I think that most restaurants should show better value. They should not be marked up as aggressively as they are. I
way
think
too aggressive.
because most restaurateurs, operators, they know that their margins are coming from alcohol, so we're going to mark up that bottle 4 or 5 times. That just shows no value because everybody's got a phone. They can look up what a retail price is, and if it's obscenely different,
And
why-
I've done that
why
in a
would I get
restaurant. I go of something I like or something, and I'll say, "Oh my God, that's as much as we used to like."
You saw it in
We used
the
to like
retail shop,
Farniente wine or something. That was a fine wine that we liked and used to
Just
have.
to tell you, because at my restaurant, when I first put my first wine list together, I gathered my wine sell group from different, because we have more than one supplier.
Right.
We have 2 or 3 suppliers.
at least.
Sometimes you say no.
Is that still the case? Because I know there used
Oh,
to be
yeah,
the wine
no,
warehouse, but a
still-
lot of the consolidation took place.
Still. But some wine suppliers are bigger books now, because they're fused.
Right.
But my first thing was to say, I don't want a big wine list. I want a wine list of wine, because at that time there was not that much choice, that cannot find in the supermarket.
Exactly.
Because, you don't want to see an $18 bottle of wine at
You don't want to sell
supermarket,
Kendall
and you sell
Jackson.
it 45.
Exactly. A Kendall Jack. I don't know if that's still a popular brand, but that was a real kind of. You go to a restaurant, everybody had Kendall Jackson, and you go to the store and buy it, and maybe it's half at the store, but now it's 3, 4, 5 times at the store.
That's a double-edged sword because I know what you're saying, Chef. The known value indicators show value.
Yeah.
Or not. So if everyone else in the area pours the same Chardonnay and you sell it for more, then your entire markup is wrong.
Right.
I tell people that if you're going to sell those wines that everybody else has, actually be very competitive or a little bit low because people will assume your markup across the entire list is like that. And then you can pick and choose like an equalizer where you're going to make more of a margin on.
But the reason I did that, because I was thinking to the artisan that make the wine. So I was looking more to support boutique wineries, than just big
The
group,
big corporate
you know.
volume stuff.
And so that was my goal.
I respect that. I always try to balance a list. Like when I opened Montage, we had brands that people recognized. You don't have to actually call a Somm over to get a suggestion. I recognize this brand. I feel comfortable with this brand. And if it has a lot of name recognition, I'm probably going to mark it down so it's very reasonable. So you're not assuming we're gouging across the entire board. I also want to support those small bespoke producers, up and coming places and producers like that. I also want to show different size pours. I think a lot of people now, they actually don't want to eliminate alcohol, but maybe they're drinking less. So
Clearly.
at Montage, we had a 400 bottle half bottle selection. Like
You rarely see a half bottle.
never
selection.
do, and which is a miss because I think people would do a heck of a lot more half bottles than full bottles. Because again, if they want to drink premium but smaller, more portions of it, the half bottle is great. Also, for the premium by the glass pours, what's wrong with pouring like a 3-ounce pour, like a half glass to try?
I see some places doing that. I'm surprised when it's a big full glass and they're doing like it's got to be at least 3 ounces they're pouring, not just the 2 ounces that you expect.
Normal pours are 5 ounces to 6 ounces. Most people are around 6. If you're at a country club, 8 or 9, because that's what they expect, the country club pour up to the top. But I think the option to pour half glasses is something that more operators should look at. Again, if I can get a half glass, that to me, I'm drinking less alcohol, because there's a lot of different things happening in the market right now. People have less disposable income. The middle class is shrinking.
Right.
They're too busy. Their phone and their iPad, you
And
know,
prices have gone up on everything.
prices,
product.
there's no value anymore. People are more health conscious. We don't have the French paradox that we did in the 80s, which told people in the media, oh, you know, drinking moderate levels of red wine is actually good for your cholesterol. Like literally, people in the 80s and 90s thought that drinking, you know, wine,
It's a good thing.
it was a good thing. Now a lot of the new consumers, they don't know anything about the French paradox. No one would put any kind of study out there to actually say moderate consumption is actually good for you. No one would do that. But drinking a half glass to them still seems like it's a.
All right, let
it's
me
a
throw
better
out a
go.
couple other big bombs here in the room here. One
Please.
is, let's just look at alcohol consumption across the board. I keep reading it's down.
It's way down. It's way.
You know, people are more and more restaurants are serving non-alcoholic things,
Which is a great call.
Mocktails.
Yeah, I think zero proof spirits is a great way to actually moderate consumption. I think zero proof beer has never been better. There's a few out there that would completely fool you into thinking that maybe it does have alcohol. It's that good. And I think zero proof wine actually is getting better and better. It's the last part to kind of catch up. I think it's a good thing. Why would you want to leave someone out of a tasting menu if they don't consume alcohol anymore?
Right.
Why would a boomer who has health issues want to give up something that has brought joy to their life their entire life?
Yeah.
You can still that.
So zero alcohol wine, there's no fermentation.
There can be fermentation and they spin it out with a centrifuge to take out the alcohol.
Okay.
So that either lower proof wines are an option or zero proof wines are an option. And I would suggest a lower proof wine. There's some great ones out there. That do a good
Nobody
job.
ever suggested, because I
Interesting.
truthfully
Yeah,
drink
yeah.
a lot less than I used to.
If you go out to lunch,
My age and I'm driving.
Yeah, you don't
and,
want. Yeah, you don't want to have a day.
right?
No, no.
uh,
So I
wine.
I
But
would.
if you were going out to lunch with your buddies, like a business lunch,
Right.
wouldn't you rather be offered a zero proof beer that tastes like a beer
Yeah.
or a zero proof cocktail than an iced tea? And that server is going to make a lot more money from selling a zero proof wine or cocktail than an iced tea.
I'm the guy buying the mocktails now here.
I respect that.
Just because I don't want to have a buzz or.
You don't have to anymore. You don't have to.
All right, so alcohol consumption's down. I got to believe that of all the categories, now I'm guessing, wine has hit one of the hardest because
True.
wine has lost the cachet, the coolness, the hipness, the something special about it to a younger audience.
I don't think they ever thought of wine as part of their culinary tradition because they probably grew up in households that were working a lot.
Right.
Were basically running one kid off to Boy Scouts or jiu-jitsu or club soccer. They didn't have that family dinner like I did,
Right.
where people sat down for an hour and a half. That's a luxury these days for hardworking families that are running kids around and working like dogs. And then the phone and the iPad, again, keeping them distracted. I miss family dinners.
I don't know that we ever. I'm suburban raised. We didn't have a lot of that anyway, even back in the
Try
60s
to do
and
it
70s.
every Sunday night.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
So
And do you think, one more thing. So I look at my eating habits of my son-in-law and my daughter. They're in their 30s. They're both working. He runs a bank and she works at a store. And I'm stunned how much they order food sent. Uber Eats, DoorDash, and not just hamburgers and stuff. There's plenty of that. A nice restaurant, send the spaghetti meal over, send the fish dish over or something here. And I'm like, really? You can't just go, we don't have the time to go and sit there. We want to have something nice. So I think this is an increasing category. Lots of restaurants, it's takeout idea, particularly ethnic foods, Vietnamese food, Chinese foods, other sorts of things, Indian food.
Netflix killed the cinema, and now
Yeah.
Uber Eats is killing like the wine and dining culture.
Right, exactly.
So, but one thing I have to say, not in large numbers, but there's more and more wine. I cannot call it collectors, but wine people who have a selection of wines, a library of wine of their own at home. No, you don't agree.
There are very few. If you are wealthy and you've had wine as a culture,
If you like wine,
if you like wine, but even people who like wine are drinkers, not necessarily collectors.
okay. But I think the problem is wholesalers don't sell to single people. They sell only for
I think the
restaurant
point he
owners.
made is if you go to wineries, I go down to Temecula, which is just okay.
The direct to consumer thing is still strong.
Direct to consumer.
Yeah.
Once I go to the winery, I'm on their list, and they want to just send me specials. I'm on so many winery lists because we've been visited there. Why am I going to go to the supermarket? Why am I going to go
But
to
that
anywhere?
is the key. Become members of the winery. If you like the winery, like, I'm a member
Yeah.
of Tablas Creek, I'm a member of wineries like that.
Right.
So every 3 months we get, even though the not the wine spectator, but Wall Street wine. Wall Street wine will send you every 3 months a selection of
A
wine.
curated list.
I-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you a perfect example. You had the owner of Jirachi, a winery in Orange County. Not people know there
Yes.
still are some wineries here, and his whole model is just experience and direct to consumer. He's not trying to get it in the stores and the supermarkets
No,
by and
no.
large.
It's totally local boutique wines, and
You
that,
come there for the experience of going to the winery,
and then you
or you come and then you like it, and I'll send it to you whenever you want
yeah,
some.
and you have direct contact with the people who make the wine,
Right.
and then so they tell you why they go with that kind of character of wine.
And you're connected to them. You go to their
You
crushing.
have a personal relationship
Yeah.
with that
Yeah,
winery.
I see.
You're connected, yeah.
And so, going back to the half bottle of wine on the wine list, I think it's a very important thing to bring up because, you're a couple, you go out and you have a menu. Your partner or your guest want a fish course. I want a steak. Why having the same wine for both? If you have a selection of a bottle of white and a selection of a bottle of red, you can drink either a Chardonnay or a Sauvignon Blanc, and you can drink a Merlot or a Pinot Noir, and then everybody is happy. So
Or just a great by the glass program that's not just
Yeah.
everyday grocery store wines,
Right.
and not at one compressed price point. I see a lot of mistakes with how you mark up a wine and select it. All the by the glasses are in one little cluster.
Yeah.
There's nothing for maybe a premium consumer to kind of dabble with, or maybe even things are too expensive, and there's nothing for someone who wants to dabble at like a happy hour kind of price to kind of just get
And
something.
I don't get why they don't want to do that, because if I found, again, we're starting with the assumption that there's millions of choices, more than there ever has, millions of wineries. So, and there's more therefore on the restaurant list than I've ever seen before. And 90% of them I probably don't recognize or know. So a buy the glass program will let me sample it and try it. And then if I like it, then I'll come back and order that a bottle, or I'll bring my friends and whatever there. But if I see a $200 bottle of wine and I've never heard of it, I'm not going to try it. Not without a good sales job or a good recommendation or something here. I'm not just going to pick that up. and say,
unless you're a connoisseur and you say, "Oh,
Recognize it.
I've been looking for that wine for a long
Yeah.
time, and I'm going to go for that." But
I look around the room at a restaurant and I don't see as much wine on the table as I used to.
not much bottle.
That's too bad, because the first thing, or actually the last thing I tell a server group before I leave them is, what's the most important time in the night to sell wine? And they say all day or all night. That's a wrong answer. It's the first turn. It's the first seating. If you get glasses and bottles down as a server on that first seating, every seating after that are going to walk by your table, see wine and bottles,
Absolutely.
and be sold. I want that trumps anything on a wine list.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you literally make your guests walk by a bunch of wines, see a champagne bucket on the bar,
Yeah.
something displayed, get them thinking this is a wine establishment,
Yeah.
this is part of the menu.
That's a good point.
That's a great point.
That first selling opportunity, that first 45 minutes is the most important time of the night.
I'm going to go to and pick any fancy restaurant. Pick the new Ocean thing.
48.
48. I just walked. I haven't eaten there, but I walked in there once, and you see some wine. I'm not saying you don't, but I'm going to see a lot of other things. I'm going to see beers. I'm going to see cocktails, a ton of cocktails. And when I sit down the menu, they're pushing. What's the first thing I look at? Their crazy list of cocktails. Their
Yeah.
27 homemade cocktails.
I might anger people when I say this, but every server training I start with, I ask the servers, you have wine, you have cocktails, and you have beer, maybe sake, to start a diner's dinner with. Are they all equally valuable to you
Yes.
as a server? Yes or no? And most people will say, yeah, it's yeah. And I'm like, not even close.
No.
If you suggest a beer It's like in your head, I want this guest to have 3 courses and maybe share dessert. No, I just gave them a liquid bread basket, which is a beer. I filled them up while they're looking at my menu,
Right.
and now they're eating less. Why in the hell would you suggest a beer? Don't talk anybody out of beer. If they want a beer, get them a great beer, because I'm sure you have a great beer list. Cocktails.
Yeah.
Does a cocktail increase your appetite or decrease it?
Increase.
It decreases your appetite. It's your body's basically detoxing and shutting down.
right.
So a couple martinis might taste great, but it's doing nothing for your appetite.
And you've also priced them out because the cocktails are the most. They're making more money on that than anything.
Yeah, margins on cocktails are
are
crazy.
crazy in these markets. So now they're $15-$20 cocktails, and so you get 1 or 2 of those. I'm not just alcohol wise. I'm just sort of done. There's not going to be wine with dinner and other things.
But let me finish. Like the wine, not only is going to make you hungry, because when I do a staff training and do a tasting, like the suggestions I talk about make people make noises like they're getting hungry thinking about it. It's like food porn, talking about wine with
Food porn.
Also, people don't understand that wine, the real magic of wine with food is wine is an alcoholic sorbet course for your palate in between
a
bites.
sorbet course, a
Right.
cleanser.
It cleans your
cleanser.
palate. So I tell servers all the time, if you just won $20 million in the Powerball and you love the sunset and you bought a beach house to watch the sunset, would you wash your windows to make you able to see that sunset?
course.
Yeah.
You would. If you just dropped $90, $120 on a steak because you love this steak, why wouldn't you clean your palate between bites to bring your senses back? So every single bite of that steak is like the first
More
one.
enjoyable.
Right.
Yeah.
You're getting the most value out of that dish by getting a glass of wine.
And
Or a bottle.
the other thing too, because it's the way I learn how to build up menus and build up wine drinking. You start with a lower, not quality, but lower taste wine, and then you gradually go up like a menu.
Right.
You know, you start
Your
with-
courses increase in
yeah,
intensity, your wine
with a
increases
cold
intensity.
appetizer,
Yep.
a hot appetizer, or fish, and then a meat. You know. So each course, pair with a different wine. Same thing from Sauvignon Blanc to Chardonnay to Pinot Noir, and then Merlot. Or
So can I
Bordeaux.
throw out another bomb here? Look at the menus today. Comfort food. I never thought I'd see meatloaf, but everywhere. I go to the fanciest restaurant, they got meatloaf.
Nick's makes a killer meatloaf. If you've ever had that one, it's
Okay.
pretty good actually.
And I'm not saying I don't like meatloaf, but that was comfort food. That was mom's food. That was home food. It wasn't restaurant food. So as we've gone more of those comfort things, even mac and cheese I see in menus and variations and stuff like that, I never think of wine with a burger.
Why not?
With mac and cheese, with meatloaf. Never.
You
That's
know,
that's a beer kind of thing.
we
to
have
me.
a tradition. When my wife and I would go to France or far away, we fly back.
Right.
We stop at In-N-Out Burger, and we go home, open a great bottle of Pinot Noir. You know, for me,
Never
When I was
heard
in
of that.
when I was in
it's something
France
else.
last year, we stopped at a McDonald's and we brought in a half bottle of Chateauneuf du Pape.
There you go.
Had it right there in the
there.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's a good pairing. let me
So
tell
I
you.
guess what I'm saying is the food has changed. We've gone back to comfort foods and stuff, and this is a popular trend here. We're not. If I'm getting a very pricey French dish, rattle off any of the stuff that you made there. I'm not even thinking beer with that. That somehow doesn't seem to match with that. I'm thinking wine. But if I think what I think of as Midwestern burger meat kind of dishes, mom's cooking, maybe because we didn't drink wine at home ever. Mom never drank wine, only on a rare occasion, a special occasion or something here. So if dining is special, then I have something special with it. If dining is normal food, then I don't normally drink wine at home with these kinds of food. At least I don't.
And same thing on the menu. If everybody has Caesar salad on the menu,
Right.
That means what are you drinking with that? I mean, you're going to drink the same type of wine all the time? That's not. I'm not sure about that. That's also if you estimate about, I like Pinot Noir, I don't like Merlot. Don't you want to try something else, like a own varietal?
Well, that goes to the consumer habits that I argue with my friends all the time. My friend, I have numerous friends who make a heck of a lot more money than I do. I have more money. I have the houses and the cars and all the stuff. And so I say, all right, live it up. Let's go out to dinner. And sometimes I even say, you're buying because you got all the money here. You're going to buy. And what do they get? A steak, a thing, a chicken, or whatever. And I'm like, oh, come on. We're at someplace really, let's try this. And they're like, no.
Why is that? Why?
Is it? Yeah. Money is no object to these people, but their food, their tastes are not looking forward to acclimated, trained for. They want basic, predictable.
I understand that that's out there and that's a mindset, but I do not listen to the same music I listened to in college. My tastes have changed.
Yeah.
I don't listen or, taste or drink, or my favorite things have evolved. My hobbies have evolved. I just don't know why some people just stick with the same stuff. Like we said earlier, how do you know what your favorite wine is if you haven't tasted it all?
My favorite restaurant's the one I haven't been to. My favorite wine's the one I haven't tried.
Exactly.
And yet most of my friends roll their eyes and go, oh my God, no, I like this. Let's get
Why
this.
isn't culinary experiences adventure? Like you can literally visit a different country through the menu without leaving not leaving your neighborhood.
I'll call it the Donald Trump syndrome. I'm not trying to bash Trump today, but doesn't he eat like steak with ketchup on it like all the time?
Oh yeah, let's not go there.
My buddy Dave, who makes more money than God, I take him out to restaurants, or he takes me out. And I don't care if it's a seafood restaurant or an Italian restaurant or a Vietnamese restaurant. He wants a steak, meat and potatoes. That's what he wants over and over and over again.
So, Chris,
Chef.
do you drink wine at home?
Yes.
And
He doesn't like wine, he told me. He never drinks wine.
Lies.
do
Lies.
you have a selection of wine? So because you don't eat the same food every day, and so do you try to?
I do have a large wine refrigerator, and I'm lucky because I don't have to actually spend money on wine. I get whatever I want basically as part of my business. But we have Italian, we have white, red, rosé, sparkling. I have Magnus of Bruno Paillard in my fridge at any time given moment. We do have house wines though. Like I'm not drinking crazy stuff every day. My house wines that are legitimate I get at Ralph's. It's a Sauvignon Blanc from Napa that I love. I swear by it. It's not expensive. And there's a rosé from not even the Rhone. It's actually from the southern.
So give us a couple of
Southern
regular
California?
names. What's hot today? I'll give you a couple I've heard. I'm not really up on wine anymore like I used to be. I don't drink it when
we
I
need
go
to
out.
drink more.
I
We
don't
need to
have it at
drink more.
home. I don't, it's probably, I'm one of those that's sort of disappeared off my plate here. But we had a guy used to come in here who was a really wine geek. He was a big financial planner. He was always talking about Dow.
Mm-hmm.
DHA.
DAOU.
That's right. He liked that brand. And that's not super expensive. You can see that it costs
It's
or
a
something.
classic pairing, or classic wine.
Talking about the wine pairing dinners, they do a
They
huge
do a great job.
program.
And if you visit the winery, their culinary experience at the winery on Down Mountain is
And
second
are
to
they
none.
up in like Santa Barbara? No,
No, they're
Paso.
Paso.
Paso. Okay.
They're Adelaide District, Westside Paso. and
Okay,
they're
so that was
legit.
one I've just heard of that I've now passed on to people. And
Go there. Yeah.
All right,
And
give me some
now
others.
you mentioned Adelaide, to go to Adelaide as well.
Hmm?
Tablas Creek, Adelaide,
Yeah. Yeah.
great places.
So rattle off a couple others that I could just sort of go to if I see it on a wine list or I see it at the store. It's better than your average bear, but it's.
I
not
don't want to be
on a-
accused of being like
Picking.
No.
like I sell stuff, so I don't want to just spew out my own brands.
Right.
But I'm telling you, I want you to try. I'm suggesting people try stuff until they find what they like, and then have that as their kind of a go-to. Have a great wine bar that you go to, and just say, "Pour me something."
Right.
You know what I mean? Be able to tell a server or a bartender or a som what you do like and what you don't like, and try to experiment and go somewhere else. If you never really had your Italian wine epiphany yet, tell them that.
I haven't.
I went up
yeah.
to a sushi place up in LA a few months ago, and I said I've never really been blown away by uni. When we're doing like omakase menu, and they took that as a personal challenge, and they brought out an uni taco with a ponzu whatever, and I made a noise when I tried that.
I made a
and
noise.
there were
I
6
like
people
that.
from the kitchen lined up at the
Ooh.
door, and they were like, "Yes!" Like they took it as a personal challenge. So I would say get out there, beg, borrow, and steal. Try everything. Go back and drink what you like, but you're going to expand your repertoire. Don't listen to the same music every day. Don't eat the same dish every day. Explore.
But
it.
isn't that a challenge? As I get older in life, I do listen to the same music. I do watch the same kind of movies. I do read the same kind of books. I find myself falling into those traps. I certainly dress like I'm still in college or whatever. So I've lost some of that experimentation, although I don't want to. And if I go out to dinner, I want to try something I've never had before. Otherwise, I'll stay home. If I just want what I could get at home, then why am I out
Exactly.
here?
Do you cook with wine?
I do.
Yeah, in the glass or in the pan?
Both. I lubricate the chef myself. I'll drink as I'm cooking, but I do. I add, wine to most of my sauces.
It does make a big change.
Yeah.
If you use a dry wine or a richer wine, especially in the whites, big change. Or a cab.
Or just spirit. Like, why do we have Peniella vodka? That little bit of vodka that doesn't blow off lifts all those flavors in that sauce. Like, there's a reason that actually amplifies, flavors.
But now my wife, if she would hear, would be arguing because she's highly allergic to dairy, to milk and butter, and she's more and more people are getting food allergies of different kinds. She's got a bad one. She doesn't just get an upset stomach; she gets sick. And so we have to meticulously go through, was this cooked in butter and all this stuff. And they're always, no. And then they come back and say, oh, yeah. Butter seems to be replaced. Why can't they replace a lot of this butter cooking with wine cooking? Why does everything have to be cooked in butter? Why do I have to have the bucket of clams in butter? Why do I have to have everything in butter?
You don't.
No,
you don't. There's options.
You can use olive
But
oil.
I think it's the go-to. Maybe it's just 'cause
Olive oil is the great, easy substitute. Yeah,
exactly.
for butter anyway.
And can you say one word about if it's a myth, the sulfite?
Actually, there's sulfides in everything we eat, like a jar of peanut butter. Most things have high levels of. If you like eggs and you eat a lot of eggs, there's more sulfur in eggs than there ever will be in most wine. What I tell people about the better for you thing is, you drink a better wine, you're getting a better wine for you. There's less additives, if any at all. They're drier base wines. It's better fruit that doesn't need the chaptalization or the sugar added to it. If you drink better, you're going to get a better product, and it's better for you and the earth.
Because I've always said the same thing even back then. If you drink a better wine, you're not going to get a headache.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the...
Well, it depends on what you drink or how much you drink.
But the point being that there's less of those additives and impurities and other things and sulfites and things that they fill these things up with the cheaper wines.
And
cheaper
so,
food.
tell us a little bit about your wine education program.
So what I do, I'm the director of education in the Aspect California Educator. So Aspect is the fine wine division for Breakthrough Beverage for California.
Okay.
So I do online virtual trainings to basically bring the wineries to us on a virtual call 3 times a month.
Is that for the trade only? Or?
It's for just our company only.
Okay.
But it's really there to look behind the websites, look past the tech sheets, get the stories, the authenticity. I do my own sales training, like I do my server trainings for restaurants. I need them to really believe that these are special and tell the stories, and the stories are what sells wines.
I got to stop you right there because that's another pet peeve of mine. Tell me about this wine, not just how it tastes.
Right.
This could be a beer, this could be a wine, or anything, but tell me about it. I don't know. There it is. It's the name. Go look it up. Go Google it.
Again, this is one of the things that's easily fixed. Do you think most restaurants are doing their own server training? No, they just have to call their distributor, a good salesperson, an educator, a fine wine person, come in, and we could be that subject matter expert for them.
And if you sell me on the story, this cute little winery, this great beer that's
like
been around
that
for 100
server
years.
who sold the crap out of the framboise,
Exactly.
you create an extension of your sales force. They will be selling for you every single night.
Yeah.
And I'm a sucker for that. I will buy that. If you sell me on the cute home story or the 200-year tradition of this or whatever, I'll buy that all day long.
Well, yeah. But if you also know the product is good, we used to give incentive to the server. Say,
Sure.
hey, tonight we have this great new rosé. Everybody don't drink rosé, but make sure they try the rosé.
Right.
It's a beautiful warm day, and at least people will start their dinner with a glass of rosé instead of a glass of sparkling
I know
wine,
restaurants did that. We never did. But do they still incentivize you to push stuff?
Sometimes, there's no cash or gift cards allowed anymore. That's illegal. But a bottle of something for the bestseller is totally fine.
Because I knew the rules had changed. It was sometimes the vendors would come in and say, almost like paying you to buy a place on the
But
menu. or
just the
something.
fact they compete with each other, that's
Yeah,
it works. It pay off.
But back to your chef, like when you change the menu, you should change the wine list at least a little bit, and you should have server tastings so your servers aren't stuck at a table going, "I never had it before." Like
Right.
your whole
Well,
staff should be tasting these
wine
wines.
list on menu should be treated the same way. You can make changes, but you have some standardized dish you cannot remove.
Your
Because
signature dishes
you
can't
go
change.
back to the restaurant
Right.
for that dish,
Right.
and then you may go back to the restaurant for that.
So
bottle
I
of
know
wine.
independents do all this, like the Chef Pascals of the world, whoever those are out today.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an awful lot. There's less independence than ever before because what's it cost to build a restaurant? How to get investors? How to it's $1 million and all this and other stuff and the rent and everything else. More and more, it seems to be conglomerates of chains of groups of people owning these restaurants. They own 10, 12, 15, 100 of them or whatever here, as they can get. They've got more muscle. They can get more purchasing power. They can put together all this inventory and all the back end stuff is better. Are independents under threat more than ever before? And if so, do the chains experiment, change their menus as often? Because they've
In my
dialed it in.
the small regional change, like a Nick's restaurant group that has 11 right now, they do make small changes and they maybe do certain things in Newport that they don't do in Del Mar or Carlsbad kind of thing or Long Beach. So they do experiment, but not to a huge extent. They have they have a formula that works.
Right.
Why would you mess it up?
Right.
But their wine list changes. Their wine list keeps getting better. And they do modify things in the bar for cocktails, and they do modify dishes. Just not whole scale.
Okay.
It's easier for small group, small chain to actually make more profit because if you have the same type of wine list in each places, you can have a little bit of wine storage commissary on your own.
Right.
You can buy 3 cases and you get a larger discount. So it's very
I'd like to
important.
get more of that, like a Nick's. We should get more of those kind of chains. We've had one or two. We had Culinary Dropout when they opened one up in Orange, and they've got a dozen of these around the country now or something. We've had a few of those. I think that's a in-between trend. Between some giant group that has 1,000 and a guy that has 1 or 2, there's this new niche, and I think it's a different. They can still be fun and creative and interesting.
But I still believe that it's very important that restaurant owners work with the kitchen, with the chef. It's like a team. You do the food, we order the wine, but let's make sure they go well together.
We've got to be on the same page.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I question how many restaurants do that, particularly as you get into be more chains of groups. There is a silo. There is the beverage manager.
But there still is
with
an
the food.
executive chef, an
Right.
executive beverage person that gets together and collaborates. There has to be communication and collaboration because the wine list and the food menu are 2 parts of the book.
And you have wine distributors, they don't care. They just
No, they
go
don't.
for the big distribution. They want to because they order a container of that Chardonnay,
Right.
and that container need to go. So you can see that wine everywhere. And what's the point? You go to every single restaurant, they have the same wines. Different type of food, but they all have the same wine.
So let me ask the final bomb question before we blow up, because
A
we have
bomb.
a French chef in here. I've said kind of kiddingly a few times, but I think there's some truth to it. Fine dining, fine French cuisine, fancy food, all that certainly was tied with wine. Was that part of the problem of wine for Americans? It's too snooty. It's too unapproachable. I don't know how to drink it. I don't know how to hold it. I don't know how to sniff it. I don't know. I feel intimidated. I got all the money in the world, but I just feel intimidated by this.
I don't disagree with you at all.
No.
Like a caviar tin is held together by a rubber band, right? There's less obstacle to a kilo of caviar than there is a normal wine bottle finished with a cork.
Right.
And I go to certain people's, parties or dinners or whatnot, and they will not open a wine in front of me because they think they're doing it wrong and they're
Yeah.
embarrassed.
Right. Or they don't know how to pour it, or they
The
don't know how
cork
to
has
taste it.
been an obstacle. Stelvin, the screw
That's
caps.
why we create Scootup.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Makes it easier to get to.
And
But I think there's an intimidation to wine still. There always has been since I've come to California in the 80s. But
the intimidation goes off when the restaurant offer you an experience. It's very important. That's the experience going to make you, oh, uh, I learned something today because of the server or the chef pair
Right.
the wine perfectly.
Let's talk about experience for just one quick second here. So I'm talking the 80s and 90s when I come to California, and there's California cuisine and explosion of California wineries, and they're winning awards, and everybody suddenly everybody's talking wine. It's the 80s and the 90s and stuff here. It still was a little the presentation of it. It was they came here, they brought the bottle, and you tasted it. They opened it, and everybody just sniffs this. It's very nice. They don't know what they're tasting or whether it's good or bad. It's just, okay, you have my seal
The
of approval.
ritual, yeah.
It's a ritual. Nowadays, I rarely see that. Maybe if it's they bring you a bottle, I suppose. But mostly it's wine by the glass, and they just bring you the wine.
Well, it's like
What
food.
what Chef said earlier, you should pour it at the
Yeah.
table if
Never
possible.
never
We
see anybody
We
do
used
that.
to do tables like preparation
I
on
think
food.
yeah,
you
that
know.
too. Yeah.
The wine service should be, and at least carry the bottle with
Nobody
you.
makes a Caesar salad at the table
'Cause,
anymore.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Homemade Caesars,
Oh,
tableside
so
Caesars
good.
are beautiful.
Yeah,
Or
but that used to
steak
be a
tartare.
thing. The little cart would come out, or after
Yeah.
dinner, the flambois or the flaming whatever,
Yeah.
cherries jubilee or
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. And
And so, yeah.
I want more people to drink wine. I think restaurateurs could do a better job, decrease their markups, change pour sizes, train their staff,
train their staff.
have more half bottles, have smaller selections but seasonal, and they're trained on that. Our side of the business could be more transparent with labeling, so people have a trust that there's not a bunch of additives added to wines.
Right.
I
Well,
don't
you
know.
listed a whole bunch of them there. There's a whole lot of reasons. there.
There's solutions from both sides of the table, but we're all on the same page, right?
And because sometimes I'm invited as partner chef in the kitchen when they do special wine dinners, and because of my experience, I'm able to talk about each course with each wine, and so everybody learns something, and at the end of the meal they thank me. Oh, we didn't know about this. Thank you very
The
much.
storytelling aspect of
Storytelling.
education
Yeah.
is missing.
Yeah.
Like, you should never, as a restaurateur, you should never put a bottle in a list or by the glass situation that your staff has not tasted and heard the story themselves and heard a wine professional.
Same
like-
with the food.
Right.
You cannot serve food you haven't tasted.
Right. So when I go there, I tell the story. You can pick out the DNA. There's 3 points that I would talk about if you're asked. It smells like, it tastes like, and it goes with. Tell them what the pairing should be. That's that little storytelling and a little bit of connect the dots goes.
And
a
if you
long
can go
way.
one step further and tell the story of the winery or the winemaker or the beer or whatever, there's something to that.
Connect that consumer.
Yeah, man, I gotta
Less
have
and
this.
less now, but we used to have winemakers from Napa, from Central Coast coming down there.
I think that's always a good process, and then they get to tell it themselves with their own
The
passion.
wine
and-
dinner thing is a whole different story, Chef. A lot of people do those on the wrong nights of the week when they're already full. Why would you take seats away?
Yeah.
They're too expensive. They're too time consuming. We try to do these micro pairings. Talk to Glass Bar, Chef Rob. He does them fantastic. But they're miniaturized wine dinners. There's 4 wines on a theme. Chef prepares a special amuse-bouche, like 2 bites, not a full course, 2 bites, per wine. It makes the
I
wine
love that
taste
whole
amazing.
Bouche, a little
Amuse-bouche.
amusement here. Yeah.
It's a bougie happy hour. It takes 45 minutes to an hour. You're done by 7. You leave still hungry, so you sit down for dinner or
What
have
a-
something to
What a
eat.
great idea.
And you can buy some wine retail, and you have a somm and a chef. You have everything you love about a wine dinner, just miniaturized.
Because I agree. I think the thing, wine dinners are popular and they're still around, a big deal.
Yeah,
But they're too expensive.
And did someone talk about the wine?
yeah, the somm. Like, you have like someone like me, because I have a whole team of us. I tell people, think of Aspect as our wine team as the sommeliers you don't have to pay for. Like, they're there to help you out, but
So, should the restaurant owner or the chef or the manager should contact you?
yeah, please do.
How do they do it?
So you can call my company, Breakthrough Beverage California. Ask for your Aspect, sales professional. Again, we're the wine evangelists that the restaurants don't have anymore. We're
They
not
don't have
salespeople; we're
anymore. They
consultants.
don't have it.
And I have to say, because you also have a high level of knowledge, you're level 3 sommelier?
Yeah,
How far does
James
it go?
Beard 5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Level 4 is the top.
Four's the top.
Yep.
And
So
someday we'll have you come in. We had somebody years ago. It's insane what you have to go through
Oh,
to
yeah.
get to these different levels. These blind
Good.
tastings that you have to identify.
they don't just hand out these diplomas. They
No,
you earn
that's
them.
insane.
I don't know if you remember him. I had a good friend. His name was René Chazot. He was one of the top sommelier in the country.
Renee's fantastic.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
Well-
but Peter Neptune's around. Michael Jordan's around. You have people like Steve Poe is around. You have three. You have 3 master sommeliers in Orange County. For God's sakes.
We'd love
Michael
to have,
Jordan
and
is
we should
great.
get some
Yeah.
of them on, Chef. Well, come
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
let's get
yeah.
them. Come on, because that's a whole world. The best shows or the best podcasts are when you take me in a world I don't understand. Like take me behind the kitchen door and tell me what's happening in a restaurant. That's one other even further niche down the rabbit hole. That whole sommelier world, that excessive, impressive knowledge that you have to have.
There
to
is
get
more
those
than
shots.
just cooking behind the kitchen.
There really is.
So true.
There really is. All right, one more time. How do they reach you?
Call Breakthrough Beverage in California and just ask for someone like me to come out and talk to them.
Okay.
All right.
Chef, thank you for bringing this gentleman in here today.
Thank
Very
you.
interesting conversation.
Thank
Look
you, Joe.
forward to more here.
Paul, are you going to have a beer or wine tonight?
I'm not
Both.
sure.
Both.
Yeah, both. Well, there you have it. Another interesting conversation. Reason to tune in and get a sneak peek to know what's happening behind the kitchen doors. Right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studios behind the doors here at the UCI Beale Applied Innovation Center.